eFrontier is a survival game set in space, with a focus on self-reliance, moment-to-moment gameplay, and unlocking third-party development with an inclusive business model. I think it's bordering on survival horror almost, in this huge, vast, empty universe with the rotting vestiges of an old civilization that grew too large and eventually collapsed. We're focusing really on the exploration. They'll be able to go vast distances, and in order to do so, they'll really have to prepare for that journey. They'll have to take resources with them. They might be able to survive out in the cold, in the wilderness. There'll be places where people choose to gather because there's an abundance of natural resources. Much like in our real life, we expect people to do the same with their digital civilizations. The combat in eFrontier is more focused on moment-to-moment gameplay, where what you see in the space scene around you really matters. With occlusion and line-of-sight mechanics, you might not know what's behind the next rock, you might not know who is waiting for you, or perhaps how many reinforcements they have when you're setting your trap. It means the action's a little bit faster, more decisions that you have to make in the heat of the moment with imperfect information, and that will lead to some emergent gameplay I'm absolutely sure of.
When you are in space and you're flying around, just feel like you're just a small speck trying to navigate your way through this vast expanse of an ancient relic of a civilization that was there before you. Using blockchain technology also lets us open up this universe to a layer where other players will be able to modify and co-create this universe with us.
CCP's always worked with third-party developers. It's part of what makes EVE Online so good at what it does, and we have just taken that and amplified it with eFrontier. It's open source, and that means that you can go in and you can program directly into the game with our Smart Assemblies features.
Smart Assemblies are structures in space that you as a player will be able to modify using code that you are writing and then deploying onto the blockchain.
You can think of it kind of like modding on a traditional game. You can play the original game as it came. You can then start getting truly independent third-party mods, and finally you can actually build your own if you set up all the development environments and really get into the nitty-gritty. Some of the things we've seen players do in our earlier playtests include building a self-functioning tournament system, automated markets. We had gates that people were building to rebuild the universe itself. The scope is really endless with what they can do.
But rest assured, you will not need to have any knowledge of coding if all you want to do is to just explore and play in the frontier. In the frontier, everything is underpinned by digital physics. Very much in the same way that when we're walking around, when we are throwing things, putting glasses on tables, we don't think about how gravity is pulling us down. Within the virtual universe that we're creating together on eFrontier, blockchain is that physics layer that helps us to enshrine these rules to make sure that they are beyond anyone's touching, even ours at CCP.
When we were building EVE Online, we decided to build on top of a database. Our choice of a database was hotly contested, at least in this community of people making MMO-like games. And never did we really position the game. EVE Online, the first database game. And we're not really looking to do that with eFrontier either. It is not really a blockchain game, no more than EVE is a database game. We're just being very explicit about it because it is a hot topic and we don't want to hide it away. It does use many stuff. A blockchain is involved, for sure. But it's more about the fact that it is distributed and not centralized. This is more like a peer-to-peer system where everyone can mod the server state in accordance to digital physics we have enshrouded into the world.
An example of digital physics could be as simple as item locality. If an item exists, it has a location, it cannot be messed around with. Other examples are that every action has some sort of energy cost. For example, if you've mined an asteroid or you've mined the player who was mining the asteroid with your guns, suddenly you've got resources and that has cost you some sort of energy to do that. It's something that means that you can't just perpetually fly around forever without eventually running out of energy. You will need to stop and do something. That makes the universe feel substantially bigger than infinite free travel, for example. You should be able to observe these rules, and the digital physics are always there, always reliable. You will find that the environments themselves are influenced by these, giving completely different types of gameplay. And this means that there'll be different areas of space that feel very different to play in and have very different effects and resources and threats, of course. Our motto is, we create virtual worlds more meaningful than real life. And EVE Online has been running for more than 22 years now, and it is a virtual world that thousands and thousands of people choose to inhabit and find very real meaning in. We want to build eFrontier such that as time goes on and it becomes more and more decentralized, the people who actually choose to inhabit and find meaning in this virtual world can control it, and to such an extent that it can't be shut off. They choose to be here, they choose to live here in this virtual world, they should have a say in it. And eventually the true long-term goal with open sourcing the Carbon development platform, the ownership of the game itself will essentially reside in the citizens of the frontier.
We're really excited for you to join us on the frontier. To get your hands on Founder Access Packs, which are available right now, head on over to efrontier.com.